Hmm. Okay, my script is must be malfunctioning here. Is that better? Hopefully the sound is actually kicking in now. Okay. And apparently my chat is not working 100% correctly today, even though it was working fine last time. Un momento, por favor. Alright. Since sound wasn't working, I'm going to start over. Basically, welcome to Caught in the Third Act, the third broadcast, where things always go wrong in the opening. Basically, we're going to be working on character profiles today. We're going to start with characters because, well, I don't have much in the way of other story at this point in time. I'm still waiting for my audience to participate, aside from Laura. So we're going to actually at least create characters. Why? Because you can create characters and have no story, but you can't create a story without characters. So we're going to at least start with that. The very first character we're going to work on is our antagonist of the story. As I mentioned in a previous broadcast, I want this character to be female, not dependent on some love interest. You can too, shut up, if you want to. Not some love interest that's betrayed her or that she's trying to get back at for some reason. This is a female villain who's doing this because she wants to do it. I always like villains who love being the villain, who want to be the villain. That's been my favorite thing in film, books, everything. So regardless of whether we have a real story going on or not so far, because we can always come back to that, I have a villain. At least I have an idea of a villain. I don't have her name yet. I don't know much about her at this point, although I'm going to give her a nickname at the moment. Oh, by the way, this is my character template that I'm using. I created it specifically for this. As you can see, it has a lot of information. Given name, family name, middle name, a nickname / alias, gender, sexual orientation, status, such as living, dead, whatever, height, weight, species, race, birth date, family, where I would enter any like mother, father, etc., associations, political affiliations, interest, job, career, education, skills, languages, birthplace. A lot of that, in this particular case, is going to have to come later because, well, we don't know much about this world. For all I know, it could be a fantasy world, or it could be a science fiction world, or it could be the modern world. And that would change a lot of the politics involved, the education, the skills, languages, birthplace, birth date, just about everything about the character. So we're going to go with fairly generic stuff right now. For this villain here, I'm going to go with a nickname that popped into my head this week that I kind of liked. I doubt this will be the final thing. Blue, and that's not all. Since I've been working on my Japanese recently, work with me here. Thank you. Blue Usagi, Blue Rabbit. Why? I don't know. It popped into my head, and I liked it. Well, welcome, Octavia. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And hopefully you'll enjoy the show, and hopefully you can find some things to chide me on and correct me on. But as I was saying, this name popped into my head and it just kind of stuck with me. So, Blue Usagi. Usagi means rabbit in Japanese. I don't know why it stuck with me, but it did. Alright, so as you can see, our status is very much alive. For the moment, I'm going to toss in human as her species. That could always change later. It would be funny if she was actually a rabbit. Or a were-rabbit. Thank you very much. I wish the other half of my chat was showing up here. That would be nice to have some interaction between the two of you. YouTube does not seem to want to join into the play here on Restream for some reason, or at least the Restream chat, but it looks like we have both sides going, so I'm at least satisfied with that much. Hey, don't knock Wallace and Gromit. I know you're not, but still. Alright, so our career, villain. That's not very descriptive other than, well, she's the bad guy. And, or bad girl in this particular case. And world domination, that's a generic motive. It fits the place for the moment. But I think it'll probably most likely be something specific, ultimately. I don't think YouTube hates your guts. I think YouTube is hating my guts right now. But thanks for switching on over. So yeah, world domination. I don't like that as a motive, more or less. I think that our villain, Blue Usagi, would probably have some specific goal in mind. Not necessarily to, become the richest person in the world or to dominate something. She's not a penguin. Penguins are on Mars, remember? Uh, I think she would probably be more interested in something along the lines of torturing people who like a certain thing or behave a certain way, or possibly just out to, well, set something that she feels was wrong correctly. The most sympathetic villains are those who have legitimate cause and legitimate motives, and they're not necessarily wrong about what they're talking about, their actions, their goals. It's just how that they're approaching them. That's true, the penguins are not yet on Mars, but that's your long-term goal, right? So, in this particular case, I think our villain does want something very specific, is trying to accomplish something very specific. Um, for instance, in Black Panther, spoilers, the villain is after not world domination. He doesn't necessarily want to rule the world. He's actually after essentially justice for all of the oppressed out in the world. And he's actually does what he does to accomplish that. It's not that he really wants to dominate anyone or control anyone, although that ultimately is something that happens along the way, necessity, if you will, because he can't do it without Wakanda's weapons. But he really just wants to find some social justice in a way. And so that's pretty cool, pretty interesting, pretty sad, but it's he's not wrong in necessarily his goal. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Villains, I think, that have a specific goal, whether they're moral or ethically correct or not, are probably the better villains than the generic, I want to rule the world because, hey, that's what villains do. I don't really like those sorts of villains. The ones who are actively trying to accomplish something, those that are looking to do something specific, those are usually the best ones. The ones who have a sympathetic motive, particularly, are the best ones. So that's what I'm going for here. And again, at this point, don't have a whole lot of information on this story. This is still a work in progress, obviously. We're just really getting started. About our villain, or hero, our protagonist. Male or female? Yes, I'm waiting for you to answer. I think that's a legitimate interest, not dying. That is interesting. I was kind of thinking about that as well. Laura, you're thinking about the cyberpunk story I was working on. That's not our story. This is something completely new. The cyberpunk story was only a placeholder while I tried to build up an audience here. Yes, Uber Hero. Laugh at it. It's meant to be laughed at. Yep. Today's official beginning of work, Laura. I'll agree with that. No one's perfect. Either way. No one's totally evil, no one's totally good. Except maybe me. Nah. Uh, so we need to figure out exactly what our characters are interested in, what they do, who they are. Excuse me while I mute my phone. I think I would feel terrible if, even though our villain is female, I think I would feel absolutely terrible if our hero was male and ended up having to punch her a lot somewhere along the way, or murder her. I mean, excuse me, bring her to justice. Uh, so why don't we go with a female hero as well? Let's say she's about 5'9". My fingers would cooperate. No, we are not making another Steve superhero character. I thought we discussed this after Wonder Woman. Short villain. I've never seen a short villain or villainess. So our hero is 5'9". Well, that's almost cliche. Alright, let's back up. 5'2". We'll make our hero just a little bit taller. So it's going to be dominated by short people here. Let's say 110 pounds for each. I suppose that makes our villain here a little bit pudgier than our hero. That's true, although, because I mean, literally there's justifiable homicide. If the hero kills someone in the process of saving someone else, or to save someone else, it is morally justified and legally justified in many cases. I'm a little bit under the influence of I don't know what at this point. I'm a little bit crazy, so please bear with me. Yeah, short can be very good. Alright. What else here? Yeah. Forgot species human. What do you two think about either just a science fiction story, cyberpunk, fantasy, or noir? Yeah, I will need to decide that at some point, or we will need to decide that at some point. It's just, at this point, we're not there yet. We have no idea how the story will end at this point. Heck, for all we know, our villain here could end up very much either behind bars or ultimately free to roam into another story. We don't know yet. We'll find out. Exactly. We have no idea about anything regarding the story. Uh, since you're new and I've only recently started this project, Octavia, the idea here is to create a story with audience participation. I know nothing in advance here except for the villain, and I want my viewers here, such as yourself and Legine, Laura, to actually help me create the story. So I literally have no idea what this story is about, where it's going, or how it will end. So feel free to pitch ideas. It's a challenge. The goal is to try to do something new. Oh, I'm new, but I've been writing for over 20 years. It's just I'm new to this. I just thought, hey, I'd like to. It may be a bad idea, but that's the whole goal, to take a random bunch of ideas and see what I can create with them. So even drunk ideas can be good ideas. Fine, Jay. And we know it's J-E, not J-A-Y. They could. God knows Hemingway was drunk quite often. And look where it got him. Oh, it's probably going to be character driven more so than world driven. While I've never seriously given into the idea of writing literature, most of my stories are character driven more so than world driven. Sure, the events that take place are undoubtedly beyond the control in many cases of my characters, but ultimately it's the characters that really make the story. Um, my tendency is to, yeah, wrecked liver and suicide. That did get him, but well, tomato, tomato. Uh, my characters do tend to dominate the story more so than what else is going on. And I tend to enjoy that. I think the character studies are far more interesting than the world studies. Although I do tend to convey quite a bit about what's going on in the world. As we get further along, I think that you'll see what I'm talking about. So, do we want a real world story, or do we want something fantastic? Hmm. I would love to see it. Uh, if you visit the website, caughtinthethirdact.com, and just drop me a comment or send me some feedback there with your email address, I'll be sure to email you and get a copy of that from you. I would love to see it. Yeah, I have links turned off deliberately. So uh, go to, like I said, caughtinthethirdact.com. It's pretty much exactly like I think I have it listed in the my profile here. Looking forward to it. All right, obviously I'm just playing around with a lot of this here, but let's get a little serious. All right, given name. Either one of you, give me your first name. Something unusual, preferably. Julia. That'll work. How about Talbot? Juliet Talbot. Julia Talbot. Hmm, not bad. Ah, JT. Marissa. Why Marissa, Julianne, and Jacob? No idea. I like the idea of that's all right. If you like, you just continue to chat and hang out. That's fine by me. Uh, Julian is I figured the mother might like to have named the first child after the father. So Julia, Julian. Yep, Larry Talbot. Oh, we're done. Just kidding. Hey, work on your story and listen. I'm cool with that. Jacob Talbot. Well, I've run into situations or a few families where all of their children were named with a particular pattern. For instance, some cousins of mine, their first names all begin with D, and there's like 11 children in that family. So all of them begin with the name or the letter D. My mother eventually just pretty much started calling them D Greens. Each and every one of them D Green. It's kind of a joke within the family, but uh, that's how it started out. And I kind of like that. I've never done that within a story, so we have Jacob and Julian, or excuse me, Jacob and Julia Talbot, daughter and son of uh, Julian and Marissa Talbot. So there we are. We have a small little family here. What kind of pizza? What toppings? Oh, need to copy my template down here. Very well. Yeah, share that pizza. Alright, that's a little odd. Note that the same table right up here, pasted just a moment ago, did not come in with any of the borders, but this one did. Well, I'll take the blame for that if you like. Do you write for a living? Same here. Like I said earlier, I've been writing for over 20 years, probably closer to 30, and it's always been a hobby of mine, and I've always wanted to be a professional author, but I've never really gotten there. My longest work has never been, or is not even 80 pages at this point. Um, but I'm hoping that'll change. I'm hoping this will change it. That's still pretty good. What made you start writing? Was it just always an interest and you just decided to start working on it and working towards longer stories, or was it something that you went to school for? Yeah. Sober Octavia can probably kick my ass, to be honest. Like I said, I've been writing a long while, haven't gotten much done. I blame part of that on a long spurt of writer's block. Although, I can't honestly blame all of it on that. I think I'll branch each one of these off into its own page. Alright, that had absolutely no effect. Ever have one of those days where things just aren't quite working the way you want them to? That's been me all day today. Yeah, I can dig that. I I had a fairly vivid imagination as a kid, and as I got towards the end of high school, met a bunch of friends or made a bunch of friends who played role-playing games and got me into Dungeons and Dragons, and I always wanted to write a novel for TSR at the time, and now Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, or however they're all linked together. If my brother was here, he'd be able to tell you exactly, but I've, I know those feelings. And so I turned to writing stories to actually kind of express everything that I had inside of me. That is very true. As my favorite author told the audience at a Comic-Con that I was at many years ago, if you can if you can stop writing, quit. Don't do it. If you can't, then you're a writer. And as much as I've tried to stop writing, I just haven't been able to stop. So I must be a writer. And that author, I'm not sure if those were his original words or his words or somebody else's, but that writer was R.A. Salvatore. Okay, so this is just going to fight me and fight me and fight me. Okay, that's fine. We can fight. And forgive me, I'm a little bit obsessive-compulsive. If I start something, I gotta have it a certain way, or at least the way I want it. So yes, these borders are driving me nuts. I should be doing more than just worrying about the borders or the formatting, but they're driving me nuts. Okay, 5'4", 110 pounds. I imagine her mother probably be similar height. Let's go a little bit taller. And since she's older, we'll put on a little weight. Ah, that was Jacob, thanks. Microsoft Word. Although height and weight doesn't really matter, I guess, at this point. And Dad's not exactly in great shape himself, but is, I guess, consistent. And we'll make Jacob, at least for the time being, a little fat. Alright, going to take a quick break and play my little commercial here. I'll be back shortly. Several ways. You may make a donation via PayPal at the address shown. You may send Bitcoin to this address. Finally, I am an independent agent for StreamYard, which offers energy services in 8 states and the District of Columbia, wireless service in 49 states, and a whole host of protective services. Stream offers services that you already use and need. The difference is you'd be buying these as a customer of mine rather than from a faceless corporation. In fact, you too can become an independent agent and become your own boss. For more information and to sign up as a Stream customer or independent agent, visit the address on your screen. Thank you. Alright, I'm back and you can steal the template all you like. In fact, what I haven't mentioned to anybody is that I'm pretty much going to make this available, all the work that I do here, available for anyone to download and read, and copy in certain cases. The template I will be putting up on the website for, again, like I said, anyone to download. I'm going to put the character sketches there as well. I'll be saving those as a PDF. And if anybody wants to take these same characters and do something different with them, be my guest. Just include me in on it. Let me know what's going on. I'd like to know. And I'm willing to help, collaborate on something else if you like. If you have some ideas or want to know how a character would react once we're down that far, down that road, I'm more than willing to help out. So this isn't about profit or me profiting. It's about doing something cool. So, and something new. So let's work together. And besides, I can't exactly keep a template private when, I'm broadcasting it all over the internet. So that's that. All right. Let's see. I know what I should have added here. Cheese is indeed an addictive substance. All right, Word, you're getting on my nerves today. Now that is interesting. Where'd this evidence come from? U of M. Trust no one from U of M. Excuse me. Sorry. That shouldn't have come out like that. And for the record, I love U of M almost as much as I love Oakland University and Michigan State University. Almost. I know. It's just U of M. What can I say? They always get all the glory in the state. Plenty of fine scholars and brilliant lawyers, doctors, etc. came out of Michigan State University, came out of Oakland University, well, will come out of Oakland University, and all the other fine schools in Michigan. Why should Michigan, University of Michigan, get all the credit? And at least for the moment, I think since our villain is using the nickname Blue Usagi, and I'm comfortable with that for the moment. Our villain speaks Japanese. Well, I don't like this magic. Make it go away. Okay. And no hero does it on their own. They have to have friends, and usually a best friend. Alright, let's be a little different here. In most tropes, the best friend is always female, but let's go with something a little different. Our best friend here is going to be male. Status alive. And yes, I do believe that man and woman can indeed be friends and not have any sexual tension between them whatsoever. Steve? Alright. Steve Bob. Steve Bob the Pig Hostage. Nah, I won't involve extortion as part of his skills. What? This is totally legit. Okay, Steve Bob needs a last name. Hey, what? Me laughing at the fact that you may be choking to death. That's what friends are for. Bobby. Ah, damn it. I guess that was too legit for you to quit. Alright, give me a last name then. Don't make me pull one randomly out of the air. Why? What's wrong with these names? You tell me. There have been plenty of people out there who have picked worse names than these. And I'm talking about real people. Let's mention North and Blue and Apple. What's wrong with Steve Bob, Bob Steve, and Stevie Bobby? You tell me. I'm not going back there, by the way. There's been enough MC Hammer on this broadcast. So what? Okay. Jacob Anthony Talbot. That sounds very lawyerish to me. So you give me a name for Steve Bob, a last name for Steve Bob. I'll work on something else. Actually meant that for Marissa. She is the artist. I don't intend to write a gross out comedy, but if that happens, that happens. Steve Bob Harrison. That'll work. Are you implying that there was incest between his parents? Is that what you're implying? That Bob Steve and Stevie Bobby were related by somehow, some measure? Is that what you're implying? Because no, 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 no. The universe is a weirder place than you think. But to allay such fears. Let's see, Sarah. Nah. Hey, they were placeholder names. Leave me alone. Excuse me for a Don't you hate it when you have to sneeze and it won't come out? Yeah, I just went through that. We still need to know what toppings were on your pizza, but welcome back. You're making us hungry here, Octavia. Hey, just because we're goofing off doesn't mean we're not working. Best part about writing is the goofing off. Ah, I did miss it. Pepperoni and cheese. It's a good old classic. Nothing wrong with that. Although I would have probably added a little more to it. At least, say, black olives or uh, banana peppers or something different. Alright, so Julian Ann Talbot, Jacob Anthony Talbot, pattern achieved. It does. It does, it does, it does. Adulting is evil. It should be banished. Ah, it looks like we've actually reached the end of our hour here. I think I'll go a little bit further, though. A little bit longer. I've never been a Nintendo fan myself, but I kind of know the feeling. Of course, I'm also very much a kid because I have PlayStation 4, Xbox One, uh, PS3 sitting over there on my TV stand, a second PS4 where my roommate actually plays, games coming out the butt, PlayStation Vita, blah blah blah. Lawyer, education, University of... No, I was not going to put Michigan. There. One good lawyer. Yes, my plan is usually only to do about an hour every 2 weeks, at least until we really get going. But I will probably extend this a little bit here, maybe another 15 minutes or so. Ah, I'm kind of mixed on that because I love the idea of playing homebrew games on various consoles, but at the same time, for the developers who actually create a lot of the games out there, it's comes down to individuals like you and me that are actually make tons and tons of games, but they raise their families, they have expenses, so I kind of like to pay for games, most of my games, even though I can understand the desire to get free games or low cost games or just screw around making games if you can and if you're so inclined. But these people have their families to raise, and so even though I don't necessarily want to pay the high prices of a lot of games out there, I usually do, more or less to support the families rather than the actual development company or the publisher, especially the publisher. But so be it. But I didn't mean to go off into that tangent and be a pain, but I try to support game developers where I can. Yeah, like I said, I'm targeting about an hour for most of these streams. And I can understand that too. I'm not throwing any blame around. It's just if you can support the game developers, at least their families, where you can. But if you can't, I understand too. No judgment for me. But my streams will be about an hour. I'm doing them at this point every 2 weeks. Potentially, if I get enough interest, I might start moving them to every week, maybe every single week or more often. And I'll definitely start posting some videos of any work that I do in between broadcast when I get a few more viewers. Where's Steve Bob Harrison? Okay, then maybe that name will go away. I'll probably keep the Steve, but the Bob may need to go away. It's bugging me. Exactly. Figure why not? In Detroit, I can't think of their last name, but there's a whole family of lawyers that are big firm actually, and one of the sons actually is currently a state senator, I believe it is, and so that's kind of cool and groovy. I know because I'm from Detroit. I'll look it up for the next broadcast, if anybody actually cares. Alright, so again, I'll post this template up on my site here. Hey, don't knock it. The Bob was a tease, so leave me alone. I did that for you. But I'll post the template up on the site, as well as yes, the Bernsteins. Thank you. So now I don't have to look it up. I'll post the template probably within the next hour to the website, if anybody is interested, and that's again caughtinthethirdAct.com, just like on the broadcast. All one word, no spaces, no hyphens, no nothing, just together. And I'll also post the character sketches up there as a PDF as well, or our beginning of the character sketches. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Octavia. Thank you, Laura. And I will see you next time.